But there are things that we didn't talk about that people don't consider when budgeting. Mm-hmm. Before I dig into that, was there anything related to what we talked about before that you wanted to dig into?
No, I don't think so.
So things that people don't consider when budgeting, that I don't know if you can consider them or how do you quantify these things, but things like irregular expenses. So I kind of mentioned like roofs need to be replaced every 10 years, windows, like stuff that you just not saving for that it's going to happen, or like a major leak in your house or something, like those things that you're not thinking of. I think going to someone's wedding at this point even is an expense you don't think about. Because that's, if you go back to our going to the chapel episode, like that can get expensive as a guest.
Yeah.
So those can definitely throw your budget out of balance when those things come up.
I also feel like, sorry, Chris, I just want to say a point. I also think that like around the holidays, specifically Christmas, it's quite a stressful time for people in general, because, you know, money's tight, but they still want to have a great Christmas.
For sure.
And I think once January of the following year comes around, people went too hard at Christmas time and now they're in debt.
For sure. Do you or did you ever have like a budget at Christmas of how much you want to spend on gifts? Because I know I did.
I do now. I have there's a rough number in my head. Yeah, absolutely. Because to be honest, I don't think, anyone, you know, my family and friends, no one quote unquote needs anything. Yeah. It's whether or not I want to, like, it's a want, or here's something cute and here's something this, like, so I try just to set like a budget for people. And at the end of the day, I don't need any gifts. I'd rather just spend time with people. That's the true gift.
Yeah, for some people. I think it gets challenging if you, in your family though, everybody ends up having like kids and then it becomes about the kids' gifts. Yeah. I know, for instance, like my sister and my cousin, they negotiate like how much the gift limit will be every year because there's a lot of kids.
Yikes.
Which I think is fair, right? And video games and all that kind of stuff is super expensive. But if you put a cap $30 per kid or something, then you know that you're not going to like break the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's smart.
Yeah. And again, like these are situations where the parents can provide everything for these kids anyway. So getting a little something from your cousin is good, nice, because you're still getting your big gaming console from your parents on Christmas Day.
Yeah. At this point, my kids are so young. Them just like opening a gift is like so exciting to them. The gift itself is like meh, but like opening a gift is like the thrill.
Right. And all the other things like the boxes that it comes in and stuff is like, yeah, this is amazing. It's like, yeah, but I spent $100 on the actual present.
I know. Did you see what's in the box?
If you don't have anything further to add, I was going to move on to something that's very prevalent and on top of everybody's mind now when it comes to budgeting is inflation and the increase of prices of everything.
Yes.
And it goes back to like maybe having to reevaluate your budget every month because even being able to eat and buy groceries is expensive.
100%.
At least it is up here in Canada. Like groceries are not cheap.
No, and depending on what grocery store you go to, all their food is a different friggin' price. Mm-hmm. And I hate playing that game, but like in my mind, if I don't like that price, I'm not going to buy it. If it's on my list, nope, I'm not going to buy you. Don't eat it.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not spending $7 for blueberries. Sorry.
Or even the cost of gas to like go between different grocery stores for different things that are cheaper.
Honestly. And wasn't in the States a few months ago, eggs were like so pricey.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know either way. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Which is insane because like eggs is like a pretty like essential food item.
You would think it's the perfect food according to anybody that's not a vegan.
Yeah. But also you put so much in eggs too. Like you bake with eggs and all sorts of things, right?
Valid. You were better off just buying a chicken then.
Yeah, just
a hen.
Have a little farm in your backyard.
Which people do more and more.
Yeah.
Don't know if I would, but you do what you got to do. Another thing that I have here that you don't like account for in your budget, and I don't know how often this happens for people, is like impulse purchases.
Yes.
Okay. That resonates with you, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you're just walking through a store and they're like, oh, something catches your eye and you're like, oh, be helpful. Okay, I'm going to get it. Because it depends what store you're at. Like if you're at like a Home Sense or a Winners or a Costco, if you don't get it that day, good luck ever finding it again.
I've heard that a few times. It's like it's there when it's there, and then if you don't get it, then you lose.
Yeah, exactly. So I will buy it. If I return it, that's a different story. But I'm probably going to buy it in that moment because I know if I go back home and then think about it and then go back to the store, boom, it's gone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm an online shopper, so like I feel like a lot of times everything is impulse, but at the same time it's not, because like my bill is Uber Eats and Amazon. And Amazon, like what you see what I buy at Amazon is just, it's literally like household stuff most of the time.
Yeah.
Vitamins. I spend a lot of money on vitamins.
You should do the Amazon subscription to save some money.
I did it for a long time, but then I wasn't keeping track of it all the time. So sometimes I would be like, they're overcharging me or something they never sent me. So I had to like cut back on that.
Got
because
it.
Then I would just like, I had stockpiled all of these cleaning, what's it called?
Supplies.
Cleaning sprays and stuff.
Oh,
yeah. And it was right before the pandemic too. So I had all of these Lysol wipes already stockpiled.
Yes.
And a bunch of toilet paper.
Oh my gosh.
So I was set.
I should have come to your house. Jeez.
Right. Yeah, because of the subscription, but I stopped doing it now because I'm like, I'm spending too much money. I'm not managing it on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
The way that I should.
No, that's valid. That's valid. And I think, and sorry, to go back to kind of like groceries and food, just like eating out, like going to a restaurant these days are so pricey. So if you can, I know it takes extra time and lots of planning and everything like that, but if you can pack your lunch and take it to work, it'll save yourself like literally $10 to $15 or $20.
I definitely went through phases,
right?
Packing my lunch and buying my lunch.
Like it's so expensive, or like,
yeah,
you know, take your coffee if you can, like to go rather than like stopping at Starbucks and getting a $7 coffee. Like, oh my gosh. Sorry, no offense, Starbucks. I like you, but your prices are crazy.
I stopped going to Starbucks in the morning, going into the office because the wait time was so long because I wouldn't order ahead that I'm like, I would get annoyed. So I'm like, I'm done with this. It's just like lemon refresher tea that's in the kitchen at work. It's just like, that's just going to have to do because all I would buy is tea at Starbucks anyway.
Yeah, exactly. See, there you go. You're saving money.
I am. Yeah, because I just took a look at my budget and I'm like, girl, rein it in.
It's true. Like another one I think is and not food related, it's clothes. Because we live in Canada and we have 4 very different seasons. I think Canadians have lots of different lots of clothes in general. But after a while, you get tired of your clothes and you want new clothes. Clothes cost a lot of money, and you need like a separate like category for clothes because it's crazy. But if you lived in like a warmer climate, you would have like, I don't know, lots of clothes, but one climate. So I feel like it would be easier. But in Canada, you need to have like your winter gear, your boots, your scarves, your hat, your everything, and then like your summer, your shoes. Like there's so much that it can, and then, you know, if you're younger, you want to, you know, stay on trend with everything, and you can definitely go into debt. I feel like clothes shopping. I
definitely had a clothes shopping addiction back in my early 20s. Like it definitely put me into debt because I was like, I need something new all the time, and I wasn't even buying designer. So I completely understand that. It ties hand in hand to what I have listed here is like lifestyle changes, because when you're talking about the different seasons and like every couple of years you have to like get a new winter jacket or get new boots because there's wear and tear and all that kind of stuff. But then when you like expand your family, let's say, then the budget changes and then those are clothes for the kids won't stop growing.
Jeez, tell me about it.
Right? Like you're going through that now where it's like the kids will need a fall jacket. They will need rubber boots. They're going to need a winter jacket. We'll just, you know, the little baby's going to need a little baby snowsuit or whatever those things are called.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then you have to prioritize. Obviously, you're going to prioritize what your kids need over you. And then your wardrobe just falls to the curb, but that's okay. Kids grow through clothes so quickly, but there are different places you can go to like save on clothes like that. You can go to like thrift store. You can go to like Value Village. You can go to like Once Upon a Child to like kind of save on like gently used clothing as well. You can buy new as well, or, you know, hand-me-downs from other people. But yeah, kids' clothes or, you know, things in general is quite expensive because they're only in them literally for one season.
Madness. I can't even. Going back to kind of reevaluating, not even so much on the clothing budget, but going back to like subscriptions and memberships. I never talked about like memberships as an option, but one thing that I reevaluated after the pandemic and is like gym memberships, and whether or not that to me is like an actual valid like expense that I want to maintain, and what are the alternatives to that I do instead. Mm-hmm. So instead of like getting Good Life is really popular in Canada. I don't know if it really exists in the US. If it does, it's in very, very few states. But it's still an expense, and it's still something that's not even like, it's a financial expense, but it's a time expense because you have to like schedule going to the gym. It takes extra time. So like I pay for monthly subscriptions for things that are similar to that I can do at home. So like those classes that I would have done inside the gym, you can actually have a subscription to get access to those same classes in my own like family room or living room, and I can do it there. So it's like $65 every 3 months versus like whatever it is nowadays. I think it's between $500 and $600 a year, whatever that works out to per pay. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And that's smarter, you know. I think that's actually would motivate people more if they don't actually have to leave their house to go work out. So that's great that you found that.
Some people it doesn't though. Some people it doesn't at all. They say that they want to be back into the gym, and I'm like, whatever gets you moving. But at any point I'm ready. Well, I also have a gym in my building, but like at any point I might change or have a free time to do a workout, and then I can just do it at home and knock it out.
Yeah, definitely.
And then be done, right?
Yeah.
Going back to clothing, and I didn't mean to change gears like that when you talked about it, is that one of the unexpected costs is like, especially for kids, is like back to school clothes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you want to look like cute on your first day of school.
Well, and that doesn't change until like you're out of high school. It's just like, if you don't end up going to like a school that requires a uniform, you're carrying that out for like a long time. So that's very, very steep on a parent's budget.
And like the chokehold that Abercrombie and Hollister had on my generation back in like high school was insane.
It was so expensive.
So expensive. Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's everything, right? It's not just clothes. It's like the backpack, and then you want like the bento box lunch box, and then you want like the cute cell phone case, and you want like et cetera, right?
I remember looking through the flyers, the back to school flyers, being like, I want this notebook.
Totally.
I want this like highlighter, whatever, the latest pen.
Yeah, but now it's even more expensive because like, oh, I want this like laptop. It's like, what?
Yeah, literally. It's like, it's not $200, it's $2,000.
Exactly. And I think we touched upon this in another episode. I think staycation versus vacation, the episode. Going on trips, because I really think people have to budget for trips now because they're so freaking expensive. Doesn't matter where you're going.
Flying is expensive.
100%.
And there's additional cost for trying to find your bag after, apparently.
Yeah, and like hopefully your flight doesn't get canceled or delayed 1,000 hours.
Yeah, my cousin just told me he ran into that problem coming back from Turks and Caicos, and he flew into LaGuardia, and all the flights were canceled, and he needed to be at work the next day.
Nice. Love that. So like on top of you're paying for this expensive trip that you probably budgeted for in advance. Now you're like stressed. Now like, oh my gosh, no. That's terrible.
Life is stressful.
Yeah.
I have one more thing about what people don't consider when doing a budget. And I've run into this recently, which is why I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Career development and education.
Okay.
So, you know, up-leveling your skills to like move up in your career, whether it's some kind of designation, it's an exam to get a designation, it's the next level of education, like an MBA or a PhD or whatever that is. people do consider that, and they are in situations where they have to budget for that, whether they have a family or whether they live alone. And those aren't things that you necessarily think about when creating a budget, but does tie back into what are your short-term goals and what are your long-term goals. And if your long-term goal is to, for me, for instance, I'm considering again, 10 years ago I considered, and I'm considering again, do I get my MBA to like move up in my career? And that's a serious expense.
I was going to say that's probably a good chunk of change.
Yeah. Those are in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. But that's absolutely, but like you have to really plan for it and budget for it if that's what you truly want, and make sacrifices.
Exactly. You always have to make a trade-off.
Yeah, exactly.